Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, proposed sending the British Army to Ukraine.
On Ukraine, we're at the very early stage of the process. Europe must play its role. And I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground.
Do you have an opinion on that?
I don't have an opinion.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Why do you say that? What do you think the troops should do over there?
You've got to get Russia out of Ukraine. Simple as that.
There's a point where you have to ask yourselves, where do we draw the line, really? Because if we let Ukraine fall down, who's next?
No.
Can you expand on that? Why is it a bad idea?
I don't think we should get involved. They're not part of. I think because of the fuel crisis, yes. But the way Trump's going, no.
Hi, everybody. It's Ezra Levant. I'm in London, England. I'll be back in Canada tonight. I'm here for a number of reasons. My first reason was I was supposed to visit Tommy Robinson in prison, but that was banned. His rights are being removed, including his rights to see visitors. My second reason was to go to the ARC conference. That's Jordan Peterson's amazing conference of freedom-minded people from the UK, America, Europe, and Canada too. And the third reason is to live tweet Tommy Robinson's hearing under the bogus charges under the Terrorism Act. That's where I'm standing now. I'm going to go into the court in a moment. Well, when we landed here in the UK, one of the astonishing things we saw was Keir Starmer, the extremely unpopular Prime Minister. By the way, his government approval, according to a new YouGov poll, is just 16%. He was only elected last July. I mean, that is Trudeau-level low numbers, but instead of 10 years, it's just not even, just 6 months, really, 7 months. Keir Starmer made an announcement. It felt like he blurted it out. In fact, he sort of said it reading off notes and rustling papers. He's talking about sending British troops to Ukraine. Here, take a look at the announcement, which was very weird. He's talking about sending British boys off to war, standing around flipping through papers. Take a look.
This is a once-in-a-generation moment for the collective security of our continent. Only a lasting peace in Ukraine that safeguards its sovereignty will deter Putin from further aggression in the future. On Ukraine, we're at the very early stage of the process. Europe must play its role, and I'm prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground alongside others if there is a lasting peace agreement. But there must be a US backstop, because a US security guarantee is the only way to effectively deter Russia from attacking Ukraine again. Now, recent statements by the US administration should not come as a surprise. President Trump has long expressed the wish for Europe to step up and meet the demands of its own security, that he wants to get a lasting peace agreement to end the war in Ukraine. In this moment, we have to recognise the new era that we are in, not cling hopelessly to the comforts of the past. It's time for us to take responsibility for our security, for our continent. And I've been clear today, Britain will take a leading responsibility.
I thought that was sort of astonishing. To be candid, I didn't quite understand what the proposal was, but I had about a half an hour to kill in central London, so I asked people what they thought about that plan. Here's what some of them told me. What do you think of sending troops to Ukraine? Keir Starmer suggested it.
I'm from the U.S.
Oh, yeah? Well, the British Prime Minister suggested sending soldiers to Ukraine. Did you hear that?
Yes.
What do you think of that?
I don't like sending troops anywhere, but I think that Trump's policies are terrible, and the EU needs to come together. And I'd like to see the whole world come together for Ukraine.
Brilliant.
Why do you say that? What do you think the troops should do over there?
You've got to get Russia out of Ukraine. Simple as that. No, that's fine. No more needs to be said.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
No.
Can you expand on that? Why is it a bad idea?
I don't think we should get involved. They're not part of. I think because of the fuel crisis, yes. But the way Trump's going, no.
To be honest with you, I think it's absolutely rubbish the fact they've left the Ukrainians out of the negotiations. It just seems to be America and Russia again. And we'll end up with another divided Europe and it'll all go up in the air.
Well, peace is a good idea because obviously people are not getting hurt then, aren't they? But war makes money, doesn't it? That's the problem.
That's a good one. I think Ukraine should be supported. Sending troops in combat zones is politically difficult, but there's a point where you have to ask yourself, where do we draw the line, really? Because if we let Ukraine fall down, who's next?
What do you think of sending troops to Ukraine like Keir Starmer's proposed to do?
Mixed feelings. If it ends the war, then fair enough, I think. But it's got to be done in a sensible way. You've got to do it so it's safe for people, really. So
It seems sort of like he blurted it out. I'm sort of surprised by it. How do you feel Keir Starmer's doing? I mean, the polls show he's... do you think this was an attempt to switch the topic of conversation? I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, he's obviously the Labour Party and Keir are not the most popular people in the country at the moment, and so whilst we're worrying about what one hand's doing, the other hand's not being ignored. So yeah, it could be an attempt to shift interest in what's going on. Yeah.
It's been 3 years, though. If it hasn't happened yet, is it going to happen now?
Yeah, it's a boy, I have a lot to say about this. It caught me off guard.
I didn't mean to
appreciate this.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to.
I mean, it's just a new thing. I mean, I think he caught a lot of Brits off guard.
Yeah. Well, we should have known better in America. I feel terrible that he's representing us.
Do you think British troops would help, or would they be
I
at
don't
risk?
think it would at the moment. It'd inflame the situation, but then if you go in as a peacekeeping corps, then it'll just be an amalgamation of all different armed forces. So
But
it won't
you-
pinpoint us, will it?
You need peace before you send in the peacekeepers, or you would never send them.
He's got to talk. That's the problem, and no one's talked for 3 years.
It looks like the Americans are shifting from supporting the war to trying to force a peace. But Keir Starmer said, well, we're going to send some boots on the ground. Is that realistic if the Americans aren't participating in the same way?
Well, if the UK is not alone and other countries like France and Germany join, it might be. But I think overall it means that Europe, and I include the UK, need to think hard about how to defend itself.
Are you worried that could escalate things? Like, imagine if a British soldier shot a Russian soldier or vice versa. That feels like it would take us closer to a larger war.
If you play poker, you know what bluff is. Is Putin bluffing?
Well, or is Keir Starmer bluffing? I find the whole thing terrifying.
It is, but we know from history that peace at all cost is way too high a cost.
Do you think they should be sent in to end the war or after the war's over?
I think after the war's over, I think there has to be a decent settlement first, and then after that. So
Do you think other countries would join? If the UK really did send troops, do you think France or Germany would join too? Or, it just seems like a radical idea.
Yeah, I agree that it is pretty radical. Who knows? Really don't know.
I'm here at the Westminster Magistrates Court to cover Tommy Robinson's latest hearing. To follow all my reports on the subject, go to TommyReports.com. And if you feel moved to chip in to help cover our travel expenses, you can do that there too. TommyReports.com. Thanks.